Merci beaucoup. Depuis la révélation que Justin Trudeau a versé un contrat de près d'1 milliard de dollars à un organisme qui a payé la famille Trudeau plus de 300 000 dollars, il y a beaucoup de questions qui sont arrivées. Premièrement, pourquoi le contrat existe-t-il au premier lieu? Le premier ministre prétend que c'était pour promouvoir le bénévolat des jeunes parmi les organismes de bienfaisance. Mais il y a déjà un programme emploi-été livré efficacement par les fonctionnaires qui fait exactement cela. Donc, il n'y avait pas une nécessité, un besoin pour en créer un autre. Deuxièmement, qui a inventé l'idée? C'était l'invention de quelle personne dans le gouvernement du Canada ou ailleurs de verser un tel contrat à cet organisme? Est-ce que c'était vraiment un fonctionnaire qui avait comme idée, soudain, de donner ce contrat, même si le fonctionnaire public déjà gérait un programme qui avait les mêmes buts et les mêmes objectifs? Ou est-ce que l'idée a été créée par le mouvement uni et transmise au PMO? Ou bien est-ce que le premier ministre et son entourage et sa famille ont créé l'idée? Finalement, est-ce pourquoi le mouvement uni avait dit que la famille Trudeau n'avait pas été payée pour leur participation dans le mouvement? Il y a aussi beaucoup d'autres questions. Les conversations entre Justin Trudeau et les membres du mouvement uni. Combien avait-il tenu avant la décision? Combien de fonctionnaires y sont impliqués? Est-ce que Justin Trudeau leur a ordonné de produire une recommandation de donner ce contrat au mouvement uni? Combien d'autres organismes ont été considérés pour livrer le même contrat? Celles sont des questions sans réponse. Et il nous faut des réponses. On n'est pas dans une situation d'une dictature. On n'est pas un pays où on permet nos chefs de verser des milliards de dollars à leurs amis ou aux organismes qui payent les familles des chefs. Nous sommes un pays où les chefs devraient être imputables et responsables. Malheureusement, Justin Trudeau et les néo-démocrates ont fermé le Parlement, donc on n'a pas pu poser ces questions directement à Justin Trudeau. Il n'y a pas de période de questions. Il n'y a pas d'autre moyen à lui poser des questions et lui forcer de répondre. Donc, il nous faut utiliser les outils que le Parlement nous permet. C'est la raison pour laquelle le Comité des finances a déjà adopté ma motion afin de tenir des séances avec des témoins et obtenir des réponses par rapport à cet scandale. Donc, j'annonce aujourd'hui que je vais ajouter un certain Justin Trudeau à la liste des témoins. Lui et Bill Morneau devraient comparaître devant le comité afin de répondre, après une sermentation, ce qu'ils ont fait, pourquoi ils l'ont fait et qui a fait cette décision, qui a pris cette décision. Donc, demain, avant midi, tous les députés qui participent à cette étude vont devoir soumettre les noms de témoins et j'annonce aujourd'hui que Justin Trudeau et Bill Morneau seront parmi des témoins que je vais demander à comparaître. Normalement, les premiers ministres ne se présentent pas devant un comité parlementaire. Mais nous ne sommes pas dans une situation normale. Il y a des raisons pour lesquelles il nous faut entendre Justin Trudeau personnellement. Premièrement, c'est sa famille qui a reçu cet argent de cet organisme. Ce n'est pas un scandale lié à un autre ministre à part de lui. Ce n'est pas juste une question d'un débat politique. C'est spécifiquement sa famille, la famille Trudeau, qui a reçu cet argent. C'est la famille Trudeau qui devrait, et le chef du gouvernement qui devrait expliquer ça. Deuxièmement, le Parlement est fermé pratiquement sans exception depuis le mois de mars. Et Justin Trudeau n'a pas dû rendre des comptes dans la période de questions. Donc, les Canadiens sont privés depuis des mois des réponses à la Chambre des communes. C'est sa responsabilité, donc, de comparaître devant un comité parlementaire afin de répondre aux questions qu'il a évitées lorsque le Parlement a été fermé. Donc, si Justin Trudeau n'a rien à cacher, il va accepter de comparaître. S'il refuse, s'il se cache, on va utiliser les moyens disponibles dans notre système parlementaire pour lui forcer d'arriver et de répondre aux questions. L'imputabilité, c'est l'un des rôles les plus importants de notre Parlement. Le comité des finances a été choisi par le Parlement pour regarder toutes les dépenses liées à la COVID-19. Ce milliard de dollars, ce contrat d'1 milliard de dollars était parmi ces dépenses. Donc, c'est la responsabilité du comité des finances de rendre des comptes par rapport à la conduite du premier ministre. Et je lui invite, je dis à Justin Trudeau, maintenant, si vous n'avez rien à cacher, vous allez rapidement accepter notre invitation et comparaître pour répondre aux questions. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Now in English. There are lots of unanswered questions about the WE scandal. Let's start with the very root question. Prime Minister says the whole purpose of this billion-dollar contract was to help young people get involved in charities and nonprofits, but there's already a program that's been doing that for 20 years. It's called the Canada Summer Jobs Program. He could have just given that program more money and resources and he would have been done. But instead, he outsourced that pre-existing program to a single organization without competition that had paid his family over $300,000 in the preceding years. He did not recuse himself, and of course it was impossible for him to recuse himself because he was the originator of this idea. He created it in the first place. He claims public servants told him there was no other way to deliver this program. Of course, that is not only untrue, it is impossible given that the program is already delivered by the Employment and Social Development Department and has been for 2 decades. There was no need to give it a new name and to farm it out to a new Trudeau-linked organization. He needs to explain where exactly the idea came from. Did the WE organization call him and suggest it? Did it come through the staff in his office? Did it come out of his own head? Did members of his families who had been paid by the organization suggest it to him? We need to hear from him directly on these questions because only he has the answers. Only he knows how this came about and how it came to be. He is the one who can answer these questions. Now, the Finance Committee has been tasked by the House of Commons to put together hearings and scrutinize all the COVID-19 related spending. This would have been $1 billion of that spending. And therefore, it is the duty of the Finance Committee to understand how this appalling conflict of interest was allowed to unfold. How is it possible that a Prime Minister who knowingly gave $1 billion sole source contract to an organization that had paid his family over $300,000? We need answers to these questions. Tomorrow at noon, we have a deadline to submit all of our witnesses in the Finance Committee's study into the WE scandal. I'm announcing today that I will be adding Justin Trudeau's name to the list of witnesses. I will be calling on him to appear and testify under oath after being sworn in. Normally, prime ministers don't appear before parliamentary committees, but these are not normal times. This prime minister has shut down Parliament, preventing us from doing daily question period. Therefore, we cannot hold him to account there. Also, this scandal is about him and him alone. It is his family, the Trudeau family, that got the money. It is him that made the decision to give this organization $1 billion, sole-sourced, competition-free contract to deliver a program that was already in existence and delivered by the public service elsewhere. Only he can answer these questions, and therefore he must appear under oath and do so. Now, there are two ways that this can be done. Either the Prime Minister can agree voluntarily to show up and attend and respect the invitation of a parliamentary committee. That's what he will do if he has nothing to hide. Or Parliament can compel him to appear, something that would take longer, but could be done and should be done if the Prime Minister hides from accountability. Simply put, it is time for the Prime Minister to come clean, to answer questions, to stop the evasions, and to stop trying to pass the blame onto our hardworking and honest public servants who had no part in this scandal. Thank you very much, and I now invite questions.
Thank you. We will now be taking questions on the phone. Nous allons maintenant prendre des questions sur le téléphone. Just a reminder to reporters, one question, one follow-up. Un rappel aux journalistes, une question et une question de suivi. Operator?
Thank you. Please press star 1 at this time if you have a question. S'il vous plaît, appuyez sur l'étoile 1 maintenant pour poser une question. The first question is from Lee Belgium from the Canadian Press. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
I wanted to revisit a comment you made last week about this time where you said that the Conservative Party was not looking at forcing an election or defeating the government over this issue. I think Mr. Barrett said the same thing on Friday. Is that still your position? Is that still how the Conservatives feel, is that this issue is not one in which you are intending to possibly bring down the government? And if not, why not?
Well, we want to get to the truth. We don't want Justin Trudeau to simply run off to an election before Canadians find out what he did here.
And what is Prime Ministers, as you say, do not often testify at committees. You say that you could compel him to appear. Can you walk us through the steps that would be involved in compelling a Prime Minister to appear at committee?
Well, I'll turn your attention to a book written by former Liberal MP and parliamentary scholar Derek Lee, The Power of Parliamentary Houses to Send for Persons, Papers, and Records, Chapter 11, Requiring Attendance of Government Ministers who are members of a House. In respect, quote, and in respect of obtaining their attendance before House committees, there are no special rules applicable to ministers simply because they are ministers. Although attendance is usually arranged by invitation, their attendance may be ordered by the House. He is a minister. He just happens to be the Prime Minister. But Mr. Lee is correct that the House can order a Prime Minister to appear and testify. We hope it doesn't come to that. We hope that the Prime Minister will say that he has nothing to hide and just accept the invitation that I will put before the committee tomorrow. But we'll see. If he says no, then we know he's definitely hiding and covering up.
Operator, next question.
Thank you. The next question is from Marika Walsh from the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous. Your line is open.
Hi, thank you. Mr. Poilievre, I'm wondering if you have already proposed this idea of having Mr. Trudeau testify to the other parties and what response you've had from them.
I have not, but they will. Each party is allowed to submit its own witness list. And we have a set number of witnesses that we're allowed to include based on the size of our party at the committee. And I will simply add Mr. Trudeau to the list. If there's any dispute about his willingness or ability to attend, then we will simply put it to a motion. If the opposition parties are interested in getting to the truth, they will vote in favor of that motion.
Okay, and who else are you going to call? Are you also calling the Kielburgers?
We'll have more news on that in the days ahead, but we will definitely be calling Bill Morneau and Justin Trudeau.
Operator, one more question before we go to the room.
Thank you. Once again, please press star one if you have a question. De nouveau, n'hésitez pas à appuyer sur étoile 1 pour toute question. Donc, la prochaine question, the next question is from Raisa Patel from CBC. La prochaine question est de Raisa Patel de CBC. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
I'm wondering, would recusal on the part of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and also Minister Morneau have been enough to address your concerns about this contract?
No, not at all. This contract itself makes exactly 0 sense. Let's be clear about that. It wasn't just the fact that they didn't get up and walk out of the room. If they had recused themselves, there would have been no contract. This whole thing came from the Trudeau elites and the insiders. It did not come from the public service. We know that because there's already a program within the public service to deliver exactly what Mr. Trudeau claims he was trying to do here. If he were just trying to get young people involved in charities and nonprofits, he could simply have expanded the Canada Summer Jobs Program, which does exactly that. Instead, he farmed out what that program does to a group that had paid his family $300,000. He didn't simply fail to walk out of the room when the decision was made. The whole decision was driven by the Trudeau team precisely to direct this money to a Trudeau-linked organization. So there is nothing about this program made any sense from the very beginning. It is clear that what they were doing is replicating something that is already done within the public service very successfully that allows all charities to hire young people. Specifically for the purpose, he did that specifically for the purpose of directing this billion-dollar contract to a group that had paid his family almost $300,000.
And the government has now taken charge of the Canada Student Service Grant. Do you think that the Canada Summer Jobs Program should be the only way to get money to students going back to school in the fall versus this program?
There is no difference between the two. Essentially, what the Prime Minister claims he's doing is giving students $7 or $8 an hour, effectively, to work with charities and not-for-profits. Well, the Canada Summer Jobs Program provides a wage subsidy of $7 or $8 an hour for students working with nonprofits and charities. That's what the program does. The only difference is Trudeau changed the name, fallaciously inserted the word volunteer as it relates to paid positions, so that he could justify creating a contract of $1 billion for an organization that had paid his family. There is no distinction between the objectives of the two programs. All he needed to do was give the money to the Canada Summer Jobs Program, create more positions at charities and not-for-profits, and the program would have been administered cleanly and simply and without any controversy. The only reason he did any of this is so that he could favor an organization that paid his family.
We will now go to questions in the room. Annie.
Hi, it's Annie with CTV National News. Trudeau has already been found guilty of violating the Ethics Act twice, and he continues to govern. Do you think that the Ethics Commissioner's office has enough teeth, and what do you hope comes out of this most recent investigation?
Well, I think that the Ethics Commissioner should be empowered to look at all documents and interview all witnesses. Those are the powers that he needed in the last Trudeau investigation. I also think it's important that the police whether it's the RCMP or if they give it to another more independent police force, look into whether the criminal code is at play here. And then it will ultimately be up to the Canadian people to render a judgment and make consequences for Justin Trudeau.
You mentioned the RCMP, and I know that you've called for an RCMP investigation. I'm wondering if you've heard anything about that investigation, and what do you believe is criminal about the WE scandal controversy? Well,
first of all, the RCMP says that claims that they don't make public the status or non-status of an investigation. So they will not tell us what they're planning to do at this point. That said, we're watching very carefully. We know that Justin Trudeau violated the criminal code when he took $200,000 or $300,000 worth of free vacations from someone who had met with him about getting a $15 million grant. We made an RCMP complaint at that time. The Mounties came back to us, and they didn't say he didn't break the law. They didn't say they couldn't find evidence of law breaking. They simply said they could not, quote, productively pursue an investigation. This is the same RCMP with which Justin Trudeau personally interfered in order to have charges laid against a sitting admiral, vice admiral. So we have very serious concerns about whether or not the Prime Minister will try again to interfere with law enforcement in order to protect himself from a proper investigation. And that's why we're watching very carefully and considering what are the best ways to make sure that an independent a criminal investigation occurs. The obvious issue here is that the Prime Minister personally was involved in directing a nearly $1 billion exclusive sole source and highly unusual contract to an outside group that had paid his family, and the contract was for something the public service was already doing, all of which give rise to suspicion that he may have been doing this in order to benefit himself or his family. That, of course, calls into question certain sections of the criminal code, which we've laid out in a letter to the RCMP already.
We will now go back to the phone. Nous allons retourner au téléphone pour des questions. Operator?
Thank you. So the next question is from Lee Bersham from the Canadian Press. La prochaine question est de Lee Bersham du Canada Press canadienne. Please go ahead. La parole est à vous.
Yes, just to follow up on your plan to ask Justin Trudeau to testify committee. I see that there are 12 members on the committee, 6 of which are Liberals and 6 of which are Conservatives. Given this breakdown, what are the actual realistic chances that Mr. Trudeau, if you do put forward a motion, that this motion will be passed?
Well, we do have an opposition majority on the committee, so it'll really be up to the Bloc and NDP whether they want to hold Trudeau accountable or whether they want to give him a free pass.
But the chair can vote to make it a tie and defeat the motion, unless I'm mistaken. Perhaps you can correct me if I'm wrong on that.
If there were a tie, he could vote, but there would be no such tie if the Bloc and NDP voted with the Conservatives. So it'll just depend on whether the NDP and Bloc want to give Trudeau a free ride.
Next question.
There are no questions raised at this time. No more questions. So, nous avons plus de questions pour le moment. I would now like to turn the meeting over to you.
I'll put an end to this press conference. Ceci est la fin de la conférence de presse.